What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. If you're new here, then I'm Bree, and in today's video we're going to be making a Cuban skateboard, also known as a chivichana. Here's a quick look at the chivichana, but we also made another type of a Cuban skateboard. So it's kind of the boy version and the girl version for me and my brother. In today's video we made both of those, and I'm going to go through all the materials that you guys are going to need, the whole process step by step, so you can make them identical at your house if you choose to. It's also a really fun time making the chivichana because there's woodwork and there's moving parts and mechanisms, which just make it a lot more interesting and a fun project for a family. And the reason we made the chivichanas is because my dad has been wanting to do them for a while, because when he was a kid in Cuba, he used to use them a lot. He would make them by himself, and it was a fun time for him, so he wanted to show it to us, and we did it. In my opinion, the things that we made are all kind of a mix of a go-kart, a scooter, and a skateboard because they drift, and for the chivichana specifically, you can go sitting down like a go-kart, or you can stand up on it like if it was a skateboard. And it's pretty much the same thing for the other one. Anyways, enjoy the video, and if you do end up making something like this, then let us know in the comments how it went for you. Now for the video. First, let me tell you guys about the wood we used. This is what it looks like, and it was 2.5 inches by 1.5 inch. And this wood is what we made our axles out of. So basically what the wheels are on. First, we cut 2 3-foot poles to make them our axles. Now we have to put the wheels on the axles. We used bearings as our wheels, and first you have to mark it. First the bearing, and then 2 inches away from the pole, all around the wood. And then it's the same marking for the other piece of wood on both sides. And now we basically have to carve the circle in the middle of the wood. We use some big tools to carve the most off, most excess, and then we use some thinner tools to get the thin stuff off. My dad started by chopping off 2 blocks from both sides and then taking off the corners. Very slowly, because you want to make sure not to make the circle thinner at the end or damage the wood behind it. And believe it or not, when my dad used to make these, he would do them by hand with a machete. After trimming off the corners, we trim off a little more, even if it's little pieces, to get as much as we can off. And if the bearing still doesn't fit, then we file it down with our buffer. This leaves the surface smoother and better to work with. But also I want to let you guys know that we leave it a little thicker, closer to the big piece of wood than on the tip, because that way the bearing has something to adjust to. The last step for the axle is to put in the bearing. Remember, the bearing has to be tight on the wood. That's why we make it thicker on the bottom. And then we just use this piece of pipe to push it down. And remember to leave a little bit of space at the bottom. And there you have the finished axle. It looks great and it works great. Now we're going to do the same thing for the next one. For the second axle, it's literally the same process, just with a bigger bearing. And these are our 2 axles. And now you get to make the seat. The seat is also deciding how long you want your chivichana to be. We chose 32, so our wood is 32 inches long. But while doing this, you also got to make sure that the wood is on a right angle and everything is straight before you nail it down. We measured both sides so they're both equal, and we're using our escuadra, I don't know how it's called in English, but we're using that square to make sure that they're on a right angle. Okay, fast forward a little bit and we put braces on where I'm going to sit. This is basically to hold me and my butt. This isn't attached to here yet, but these are going to support me, and back here it's extra strong, so I can drift and do whatever I want, and it's really sturdy. And now we're going to go cut a piece of plywood. We already went ahead and measured the base, so now it's time to cut. And here's our piece of plywood. It's starting to come together really well. And now we're going to use these little wood screws right here to sew it all along the sides.
We'll put the screws very close, 4 inches, so it made the deck even stronger.
And then, without me knowing, my dad decided to use the buffer to file down the edges so it would be smooth. And that was a great idea. So I didn't even think of that. But it was a great touch. So now you can touch it wherever and it's smooth. You don't get splinters, but either way, you still gotta be careful. But it's better. That was a good idea. I didn't even know you were gonna do that. Now we have this big screw that we're gonna put in to add in the mechanisms and the steering. For the bolt that's basically going to make the front axle turn, we just drilled a hole the size of the nail and then put some washers in between the axle and the seat. We're testing it with the bolt in, and it spins super well and super smooth. After that, we just tightened the bolt a lot, and then we chopped off the top half of the bolt so it would be flush. One of the last steps is to add a rope so it can help me steer, even though I can already do it with my feet. But we just drilled some holes, but first we gotta do something else. Actually, before we do the rope, we're gonna secure in our cajuelas with a little nail here, but my dad is drilling the smallest hole we can so we don't rip.
This is the original way to lock.
Then we just hammered down the smallest nail that we could find to not break the wood, and then we bent it.
We can do many other things, but we just want to do the same way I did 30 years ago. Good to go. That's not going anywhere.
And the last step, to rope it up. We're using a dock line that we usually use for the boats, but this one is extra, so we're using it for this.
Okay. Just get comfortable.
Okay.
So you're gonna ride it like that or like that. So you wanna in your knee.
Okay.
So when you go really fast and you wanna go hand free, you just drive it with your knee.
Next day.
For the boy version Chivichana, aka my brother's version, we just made a smaller version of the original Chivichana without the rope and then the steering. Let me just show you guys what we did for the steering because we made a mistake and the footage is a little crazy. First of all, we have two 29.5-inch poles with the sliver cut out of it that measures 1 inch by 3.5 inches. And the handle that measures 20 inches. The first thing we did was divide the handle into 4. But the mistake was, instead of putting the post to the inside of the marks, we put them to the outside the first time. And then we basically had to undo the screws and nail them down again, but on the other side of the mark. See, that right there is the 1/4 mark of the pole, and those were our first 2 holes to put them in. And then the poles were too wide, and they were on the wheel. But yeah, that was our only mistake, but everything else on the scooter works great. Okay, before we end off the video, I'm going to show you guys some cool clips of me riding the Chivichana. My parents are going to pull me in the car, so you guys are going to get to watch how it works. All right, hit it. Well, as you can see, our Chivichana / skateboard worked great, and it's super fun to ride on. It's really cool how you can just steer with your feet and you feel like you're on an actual go-kart, and it was really fun until we did this little turn here and I kind of went off to the side and I crashed. I'm just kidding, guys. But then a boy in our neighborhood named Seth showed me and my brother some tricks on the scooter that my brother got and on a bike, and now I'm determined to learn how to wheelie. Anyways, here's the outro. And that's going to end off the video, guys. But if you do attempt to make either of these styles of Chivichana, then please let us know how it went in the comments. And if you have any questions at all, then comment them down below and I'll try to reply as fast as I can. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked, please don't forget to go down below and subscribe. Have a good day and bye.